Hello, everyone. My name is Lawton. You're Verified Investing, and welcome to another Pro Chart video. I apologize, my voice is gone right now. I'm a little under the weather, but that's not going to stop us from talking about currencies. And let's just hop straight into it, shall we? First off, we got to talk about the DXY, the dollar. As you can see, contract for dollar has fallen below 100, right? 100 and is establishing a base here. Hasn't been back to that $100 level, that key $100 level, since the 7th of April. And if we zoom out on the chart a little bit, we've had a steady downfall, right? You can argue that after this fall, it's creating kind of a bearish pattern, right? Down move, kind of sideways, to upwards consolidation. But for me, I'm watching a couple key trend lines on the DXY. The first thing is you have a nice upsloping trend line that should provide resistance around that 101 level if we can get up there. Should we hit there, you could see an additional pullback. Additionally, if we go a little bit closer, we can see a clear break here on the charts of the DXY. Had this nice upsloping trend line, try to break down from it, wasn't able to do so, and look at it fall. After breaking on the 7th of April, confirmed below, and now we're well below it, trying to continue to push up. Where are we going to find resistance on the DXY? First off, this pivot high, double pivot high around $99.19. Then you have a gap fill up here, just about $99.50. That could provide additional levels of resistance on the DXY. But let's talk a little bit about the Japanese yen, the euro, and the GBP, the pound, Great British Pound. So the Bank of Japan is raising interest rates, but the US dollar still pays higher rates. So the yen is still remaining weak in comparison to the US dollar. And you can see it actually might look bearish, right? You're getting it downwards, sideways to upwards consolidation, kind of a bearish flag favoring a move lower here. Right? You can say it's kind of a bearish flag here on the Japanese yen, the US dollar. So just because they're raising interest rates because they want some more inflation, because Japan has historically had negative interest rates. But despite that, the yen is still remaining weak compared to the US dollar. If we scroll further back, it's weak, but it's still not as weak as its lows from 2024. So if we get a break of this upsloping parallel channel, a break of this kind of bear flag, I anticipate a move down to that, to potentially the lows here of July of 2024. And this is something interesting to note because for a while people have been traveling to Japan because, and my friends, I know people have been traveling to Japan because they're saying, oh, the Japanese yen is so weak, everything is so cheap over there. We need to go before the price bounces. And you did see a decent bounce up, right, from those lows of even January of 2025. You saw about a 13% move up to its highs basically right after Liberation Day of last year. But since then, the dollar has continued to get stronger a little bit, and the yen has continued to fall, right? Continue to fall. This is just one pattern that I'm keeping a high eye on here. So on the euro compared to the USD, the European Central Bank has been cutting interest rates, but the dollar is still relatively weaker. So the euro is still remaining strong compared to the USD. I remember that we were getting close to a 1-to-1 over here in 2024, right? Very, very close. And the USD was briefly even stronger in 2022 than the euro. But euro back to being slightly stronger. And on this chart, at least, despite European Central Bank cutting interest rates, uh, it looks like a potentially bullish pattern, creating a potential inverse head and shoulders. Right, the right shoulder hasn't really formed yet, but you can keep an eye on this trend line for future reference. And let me just display this on my chart. Let's go like this. Something like this. Something like this. So you have the left shoulder here, the head, and the right shoulder that is kind of in the middle of forming. And something really interesting we can do when we have these patterns, regardless of it's stocks, commodities, currencies, cryptocurrency, is get a measured move here. And that measured move would be a move all the way to 1.23, just about. Price we haven't seen since 2021, right? 2021 was the last time that we kind of saw prices around the 123. It'll kind of align between these two pivot highs, pivot high here, pivot high here. We'll zoom in back a little bit, and the measured move would be literally right in between the two previous highs of the euro compared to the USD. So this pattern can kind of finish forming and push up. You're expecting some resistance around the 1.22, 1.23 region, okay, on this euro USD pattern. But just continue to watch this. Now, this pattern will get negated if the comparison between the euro and the USD continues to fall and falls below the head over here around 1.14. If it falls below 1.414, then this pattern will be negated. But for now, I'm continuing to keep an eye out on this trend line. The final thing I want to talk about is the Great British Pound, GBP, compared to the US dollar. So the pattern is different than the euro, right? As they're different currencies, but you still have some nice kind of down sloping trend lines that could provide a breakout, right? I really like this trend line. Although coming into it, it is the third hit, right? And on the third hit of trend lines, what do we know in technical analysis? That it favors a pullback on that third hit. So if it pushes up into this and pulls back and hits it again, you can consider that this favors a move higher. And what it'll likely do is either go straight up, maybe a retrace, and then look for a move higher, closer to that pivot high. And if it can break that pivot high, you're looking at 1.4 potentially as a target. You have some great pivots, great levels of resistance over here around that 1.4 region. And then ultimately at that 1.425 region for the GBP USD chart, right? So that's what I'm looking at today on the currency charts. I apologize, I'm a little under the weather, but I appreciate you watching and being a member of the Verified Investing community. If you haven't, please consider liking and subscribing to this channel. It really helps us grow and helps us put out more content just like this. All right. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.